welcome to the Sticky Art channel. In this video I'm going to be doing a user review of Winsor & Newton Cotman watercolors. This is a 10-pack in the watercolor tubes. You can also get pretty much the same set in trays. I chose to go with this set. I think they'll last me a little bit longer. I can also choose how much watercolor to pull out at a time. These tubes will definitely last a long time, and it also came with a bonus little brush. So there's a mixing tray as well as the mixing palette. First off, I'm going to be testing coverage. Got a cadmium yellow, which surprisingly has a lot of really good coverage. However, I did notice on the black it does have a little bit of opacity, so it's not as transparent as some of the other colors. This was the same for the orange, or the cadmium red orange color that I just did. However, the rest of the colors were really transparent. I was really surprised with the ultramarine blue, with its transparency as well as its coverage. And there was a burnt umber, an ivory black, as well as a Chinese white next to that. And next I wanted to test its blending capabilities, which all of the colors did really well. I was able to blend these out just by adding a little bit of water. All of the colors did a really good job blending out into a gradient, pretty smooth, without a lot of work. Even the dark ivory black color came out pretty smooth. Next, I decided to do a little bit of a rainbow effect, or a spectrum of colors, to kind of get the blend effect. And then I also did a gradient on those as well. Using a lot of water just to see how they blended just by themselves for the most part. Next, I wanted to test the paint's capability to lift off the paper after drying. I used a little bit of clean water, and on the bottom just pulled up a little bit. The yellow and the green were the only two that kind of stained the paper for the most part, but the rest were able to lift up pretty easily. I did this technique here as well, and then I painted over it, kind of to show the paint's capability to also paint over if you do make a mistake. It doesn't ruin the paper. Also using a lot of water and a little bit of salt. The paint really spreads over the water, giving it really light, cool effects. And I like this, kind of letting the paint for you and not really having to do as much work. Because I just kind of mess with the colors. Some experimental paint droplets. Just see what happens when you lay colors over colors. I was also impressed with the paint's capability to lay down some different colors without it getting too muddy. Here I'm using a red as well as a yellow, and then laying down some ultramarine blue. As you can see here, as well as when it dries, it comes out pretty clear, as well as the blue. You can see the different color pigments. Also did somewhat of a maze pattern and just dropped little water droplets of color and let the paint and water paint for me. So when I did 2 little dots, yellow versus bluish green. Lastly, I attempted to watercolor paint the sticky art logo. Started off with a stencil, using a watercolor pencil. I came back in, just laid some green and blue, as well as some yellow. Was trying to make kind of like a greenish, slimy, sticky effect. And then for art, I wanted to have a reddish, kind of tangerine yellow color. I tried to create some transparent bluish green drips coming from all the sticky, getting all over the art. Overall, I'm really happy with the Winsor & Newton Cotman watercolors. They do a great job in almost all categories, from transparency, vibrancy, as well as coverage, and they do a great job of some experimental stuff. And I think are great for beginner to intermediate as well as advanced. It makes it pretty easy to do some really cool effects if you just play around with the watercolors and let the watercolors paint for you. As you can see here, really cool water effects. Looks really sticky, clear, kind of goopy. And here you can see the paint's ability to lift as well as to blend out. I'd rate these watercolor paints a solid 9 out of 10. I'd highly recommend them if you are just getting into watercoloring. It's a very easy to use product with a lot of good coverage. Also, the price point on these, if you can find them on sale, they tend to be a very good value. I was able to get this set for half off of the $50 price tag. And I'll link in the video description below some links to Amazon where I found some good sales. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments below. If you enjoyed, hit the like button and subscribe. Until next time, peace.